Hey everybody, so I am here today just to introduce the topic that I had mentioned earlier about a tree canopy board that I was producing. Now, this is just the introduction video. I'm going to do a series of parts where I actually show how I built this from scratch, essentially for each component. Everything you see here really, is built from scratch. The foam was made myself. The actual canopy, flat layers for the ground and the tree canopy itself was cut out of MDF. The trees themselves, all of them produced completely by me. Nothing really purchased other than raw materials. And I'll show exactly how I did this. Now, I'm not the first one to have done this, and the story essentially is, and I've mentioned it before, is that I was looking through Architects of War, and I've often used many of their how-tos on making terrain. Now, they actually had a tree canopy instruction sheet on how to make something like this, but it was for smaller miniatures, something like 8mm or 10mm scale or even less, where they were using little nails as trees, and it was just really tiny. But I thought, why, it was such a great idea, why not do this for 28mm? In the meantime, Steve and myself were talking about this, and Steve loves to build terrain, and he's very good at it, and he went out and built one of these right off the bat. He had actually done one that's more of a fall scene, and he used different colors of the foam to actually have different kinds of trees, a different fall foliage, and it's beautiful. Now mine is a little bit more of a summer piece. Part of that was that having used different color foliage for my other tree plates, and the way they're built, I've had foliage crossing over, and it's been a bit of a hassle. Now I think with this kind of piece it may not be as much of an issue because you use a ton of glue to keep it down, and I don't think he has a problem with it. But I wanted to avoid it initially, so I did more of a summer piece. Now my changes in foliage is actually paint, airbrushing, to make that look a little bit different. But essentially the beauty of doing something like this is that one, it's nice from a scenic perspective. Now I could have put more bushes and more things in here like I did for my other plates, but really I have found when I've overdone that in the past that it's just a lot for the miniatures to stumble on, to position them on. It does create added benefit for the viewing of it, and you can easily put in that clump foliage and stones and all kinds of things. But I also found that sometimes it can get away from the gaming perspective, so I made mine a little bit more bare bones. But the beauty is that it looks great on the table, I think. It really looks like forest. Now my piece is quite big. This is essentially a 2-foot by 2-foot box for the most part, just cut irregular. I've cut it in half, so I essentially can put them on the edges of the table, just use one or the other, and also put them on a flat edge and create just outcroppings of trees, so it doesn't always have to be the big piece. But then the other thing that's really nice about it is that for gaming, you essentially just come in and lift the top off, and you don't have to fiddle in between your trees. And so you can position them around very easily. Now I'll show how I did it, but I did do more than one kind of tree. I just thought that would be kind of neat. But yeah, I think these are really, really cool. And for those of you that are interested in knowing how to make one of these, that's what this video will be about. Or this series of videos, I should say. So if interested, I'll be putting these up over the next couple of weeks individually, and these how-to steps. And yeah, I hope you also get something out of it. And I will reference some of the things that I came up with that were not on the Architects of War. Some of the things that I learned from Steve that he came up with. And in one case, there's something that I tried out that didn't quite work for me, and I had to change midstream in process. And I'll mention what that was so you can see kind of my learnings from it. Okay, everybody, Take care.